What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Rhett and Evan of the Cannon Fire podcast and our good friend James Hill, aka MrBucsNation, coming at you guys today with some Buccaneer news. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. Bucs head coach Bruce Arians came out today and said that safety Jordan Whitehead was full speed at practice today, and he is good to go for Sunday's Week 2 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, guys, for a secondary that's already missing Sean Murphy-Bunting for an extended period of time, this is great news, right? What a boost for this secondary.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who didn't play in the preseason at all. So you didn't see him in the preseason, and he played like 1 week of training camp, right? And then he was done. We'll see how rusty he is. I think he might be a little bit rusty. Just like I said, he hasn't always seen much action. So, but regardless, it still is a pretty big boost, especially I think against this Falcons team. We'll get into it a little bit in the video when we're talking about Whitehead specifically, what he can bring to the defense. But yeah, you lost Sean Murphy-Bunting. Now you gain a little bit more. So it's a little bit of a consolation prize for losing Sean Murphy-Bunting there. James, what do you think of Whitehead finally returning?
Like you said, Evan, it was a long time coming, right? He had been out, dealing with nagging injuries for such a long time now. It's been multiple months, right? And he finally is able to come back now. Mike Edwards had to fill in for him in week number 1. I feel like he did a serviceable job. It wasn't, I think as glamorous as what, I thought it was going to be, but still I think, Edwards did a good job. But regardless, having Whitehead back is huge. They get their hardest hitting member of their secondary back. He's going to help out in run defense, which I think is going to be absolutely huge. And, we'll see what he can do. Maybe he can help force some takeaways here for this Buccaneers defense by causing some fumbles. Who knows? But it is exciting.
Yeah, he is a hard-hitting guy. And like you mentioned, he's one of those guys that I think could not only help out with just run support, but getting pressure on the quarterback. One of the things that we saw last week against Dallas is, we know the Cowboys have a good O-line compared to Atlanta, but it didn't seem like the Bucs were getting as much pressure as we would have liked to see. Now, it was week 1 football, everybody getting their bearings back, and Jordan Whitehead, this is kind of his week 1. If you look at it like this, he's been missing those reps. But, having him as an extra guy to send at the quarterback, we know he has a presence on that field as somebody who just absolutely annihilates people. Like you said, James, one of the hardest hitting guys on this defense, and we got a lot of hard hitters out there. But a really, really good spot for the Buccaneers to be in. Even though it's going to take him a little bit to get his feet wet, you got to feel really good about Jordan Whitehead coming back. Now, some other news things I wanted to cover really quickly. New stadium banners are going up, and I only mention it because we talked about it on a previous podcast, and we were kind of wondering, where they were, because for a long time, regularly the Bucs every single year will do new stadium banners, whether it's players or mostly players. I think 99% of the time it is players. So hopefully we should see those return, but I guess it does mark the end of the iconic Super Bowl champion banners. Guys, do you have any guesses on maybe the players we'll see? Tom Brady's got to be a must, but aside from that, do we have any picks?
I think it's going to be your basics. Tom Brady, probably Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. What there's 4, right? And then for defense, I think Vita Vea might get on there.
I think you can have like 2 players per banner. So yeah. I would say like 8 players.
So let's just group them together. So I'll say Brady and Gronk, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett.
Okay.
And then Devin White and Levante David.
Okay. I like it.
I think that's a fair picks in my opinion. I really don't know who else would be put on there. I mean,
maybe like Carlton Davis or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that one would still be a little.
Antoine Winfield, I don't know if it's a peacetime would be kind of cool. Can't lie.
But yeah, that would be pretty nice.
If I was in the Bucs marketing department, I would maybe go for that, just for that sole fact alone, that's such a marketable type thing, So maybe they will go with that. I don't know, but I do like a lot of the picks that you said there, Evan. Not really anything I could disagree with. I mean, Shaq Barrett, he's been definitely becoming more of like a face for the defense, as one of their top pass rushers. And then Levante and Devin, of course, they'll be on there. Vita Vea, yeah, I mean, I don't think that they'd put like Sue on there or Will Golson.
No, well, last year wasn't it Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett, I think.
Yeah.
So I think they just switch out JPP for Vita Vea. So
yeah. I'd like to lean towards JPP making another appearance. Like I would swap Vita Vea for JPP, but that's a great point. Like you said, last year they already had him on there, so they could switch it up. I think Antoine Winfield is a good choice. That's got to be like one of the best moments in Buccaneer history. So why not immortalize it on the side of your stadium, at least for a season, right? You'd love to see it. One more bit of news I want to cover before we get out of here. Bradley Pinion, the people's champ, huh? NFC Special Teams Player of the Week after an absolute punting clinic week 1 against the Cowboys. Now, when asked about it, Bradley said that his intentions this year are to be all pro. And I mean, if he fills out the rest of the schedule,
that's a lock. That's a lot.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if he finishes out the season with at least 4 or 5 more games like week 1, I feel like he's one of the best punters in the NFL. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know, but that's my people's champion, man. How about Bradley Pinion?
Phenomenal. I mean, really phenomenal. That shows the difference that special teams can make in a game, right? Pinning the Cowboys back that often in their own like 5-10 yard line. That's a big deal for teams, having to drive down the field that long. It eats up time. It eats up time. It creates a lot of more risk in terms of turnovers and things along those lines. So it really is interesting. One thing I do want to say, I do have one more thing I want to comment on the Jordan Whitehead situation whenever you do guys get a chance. But Evan, what are your thoughts here on Bradley Pinion?
It's just a stud. It's not anything we didn't already know. We knew what he was going to be capable of. He's going to be an all-pro. He's going to be a Pro Bowler. Obviously they won't go there because they'll be playing in the Super Bowl. But he's going to be a Pro Bowler. We all know that. Like, come on. Like, this is just the beginning, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins NFC Special Teams Player of the Week every week. That's just how of a stud he is. So one real quick thing on Whitehead against, and I'm not sure, James, this is going to be your point, but the Falcons do run it more than the Cowboys will. I think they want to commit to the run game. Having Whitehead, obviously we'll get into more of this in the preview podcast, but having Whitehead back for that run support will be a boost.
Yeah, so my point to this, and it's actually a question to both you guys, right, if you want to start with the answer first, then move to Evan. So, the Bucs are healthier at their safety position now. All their guys are there. We've talked about this, all three of us, the possibility of them playing Mike Edwards in the slot now with Sean Murphy-Bunting being out with his injury situation. Is that something we could finally start to see now, given that Whitehead's finally back fully healthy and Edwards has had that ability to play in the slot cornerback role in the past? What are your guys' thoughts on that potential situation now that Whitehead's coming back?
I don't have the best idea on how much we'll see it, but I think one of the biggest things that this Buccaneers defense likes to have in their players is versatility. So it could always be an option. You know what I mean? With Antoine Winfield, that's a guy who can move around all different parts of the field. He can take up different roles on defense in that secondary, whether he's coming down and getting after the quarterback, playing run support, or dropping back in coverage. You've got guys that can kind of do it all. So Mike Edwards getting those reps, I don't know. That's a good question for Evan, and I'm going to toss it over to him. But it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you're going to see it. You might see it a few times, maybe. It really all depends on performance. I think if Ross Cockrell goes out there and is struggling, I think that's something you might see the Bucs do. Perhaps maybe they move Mike Edwards to free safety and they have Antoine Winfield do it. I think my money would be on Mike Edwards moving down to the nickel and keeping Antoine Winfield as free safety spot, but I could see either one. I wouldn't bet on them starting the game that way, but who knows? They could very well finish it that way, depending on how a guy like Ross Cockrell does. Pierre Desir, if he's elevated, is he able to come up and contribute? I think those are the factors that's going to determine whether Mike Edwards or Antoine Winfield moves into that spot. But you're right about the versatility thing. They really like their players to have versatility, and for reasons like this, it's huge.
Yeah. We will talk to you guys more in depth about this Atlanta matchup on our game preview show that should be dropping a little bit later this week. Before we go, I want to remind everybody we are a little under 9 weeks away from the first ever Cannon Fire Watch Party. If you haven't heard by now, we are teaming up with our guys at Wing Box Food Truck and Berry House Brewery Company right outside of beautiful Ybor City for our first ever watch party. The Buccaneers will be playing the Washington football team. We're going to be live before the game doing a pregame podcast and, of course, our regular postgame podcast after all the action. And all three of us will be there. Myself, Mr. Evan Wanish, the Philly Bucs fan himself, and James Hill, aka MrBucsNation. We might even have some other friends stop by and join us on the show. We just have to wait and see. But we'd love to have you guys out there. All the information should be on your screen right now. And follow us on social media for all the updates regarding that. Really, really excited. It should be a great time. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for checking it out. We're going to be coming at you with more Buccaneer news. Subscribe if you have not already. Leave a like on the video and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, go Bucs.